Hey guys, I wanted just to take a minute to show you how you can add the PowerLibrary resources into your MackinVIA account. The first thing that you're going to want to do is to log into Mackin.com, go to My MackinVIA so that you can access the administrator side of MackinVIA. Make sure that you have the VIA selected that you want to make changes to. For those of you that have multiple schools, you'll have multiple ones listed. And we're actually going to go into Resources and then Add New Resource. So there are a couple of ways that you can add PowerLibrary into MackinVIA. You can choose to add it as a generic PowerLibrary link, which would direct your students to this page. Or if you want, you can have them list to this page, the category view. But you can also break down these databases and link them individually. So if you know you want to put bookflicks in your MackinVIA and you want to put middle school student resource, you can do that as well. So this is what it would look like on the student end. So I'm just going to go to databases, and you'll see all of the databases here. You'll see bookflicks, Student Science Resource Center, Search Discover. But you can also put in just the regular PowerLibrary link. You can do both, or you can do just one. It is completely up to you. But in order to do either of those, the first thing that you'll need is your PowerLibrary code. Your PowerLibrary code it's a 4-digit, it's 6 digits. It starts with PL and then 4 numbers. And you can find that by going to powerlibrary.net. PowerLibrary.net, and then you're going to go into Technical Documents. If this prompts you to log in, and it might do so, this is a general login. Typically, the password is PowerWeb. Usually, the username is like your county name. Anyway, once you're in this part and you click on Technical Documents, you will see PowerLibrary code and links. And you will find your library, so I'm just going to click on here. Sure, we can use Nye Elementary as the example. Get PowerLibrary code, and then you will see the code for Nye is PL 1087. Now, these links here is what you will want to choose. So if you want your students to end up at the List All Resources, that's what this looks like. If you want them to go to the Help Me Choose, they will end up at this default login. But you can also link to the Kids PowerLibrary page, which is wonderful. So if you have an elementary or even some of the middle school, just prefer the interface, you can choose that as well. So what you would do is, let's say that you wanted to add Kids PowerLibrary. You would copy this link, and then you would go over to your administrative portal, and you can choose if you want to add this as a database or a link. So I'm going to add this as Power Kids, PowerLibrary, and then here is where I'm going to paste that link. I'm going to save it. I'm going to activate it. That's really important. Make sure that you activate the resource whenever you add one. I can choose to add a couple different options here, but what I want to do is I want to go to Resource Image, and I am going to choose a file to add. And I think, and here's my Power Kids logo that I just found from the PowerLibrary website. I'm going to upload that, and now it is saved. So I'm going to refresh my student side so that you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to hit Go to Student VIA. Anytime you make changes, you'll want to exit out and then re-push that out. That way it forces your resources to refresh. Going to go to Databases, and then you will see here's Power Kids. Open now, and you can see it has that code. Now, for me, since I am at home and I am not obviously at Nye Elementary School, if I would go to click on any of these resources, it would prompt me to log in because the schools unfortunately do not have the ability to offer remote access for PowerLibrary. So just keep that in mind. But if you were at school and you are IP authenticated, you would be able to then click on any of these resources and not have an issue. Which is why it's not going to be an issue if you break down the individual ones. So here, unfortunately, I would love to show this how this would work, but again, because I'm remote accessing this, it's not going to. But if your students were at school, they could click on Bookflix and then it would automatically open. What I would recommend is when you are adding a resource, so let me just show you. So if you're adding a resource and you want to make a little note that it's from PowerLibrary, you can either add that in the title so that it's very obvious. So you could put like PowerLibrary Bookflix. You could change your author to be Scholastic, and I could put Scholastic and Publisher. I could also put a little description here. So I could put something like, this is a PowerLibrary resource and will not be accessible from home. Something like that. I'm going to exit out of here. Again, push out my new student via. And I'm going to go to databases. And now you can see that this little piece of information was added here. Again, if you wanted to stand out a little bit more, you could put it in the title. And then you would just have to teach your students and teachers that PowerLibrary resources are only accessible from school. So if you want to break down these resources individually rather than just linking to the general PowerLibrary page, what you will want to do, and you'll want to make sure that you do this while you are at school, is you're going to go to your e-resources page and you're going to find the resource that you want. Let's say that you want to add SIRS Discover, and you're going to right-click on the link, and you're going to copy the link address. You're going to want to make sure you do that because if you click on it and then copy the link, you're not actually getting the link that we need to start a session, because essentially that's what we're wanting our kids to do, is to start a new session. So you'll hover over this. You'll also see the link will pop up on the bottom of the screen. You can see it'll pop up down here after I hover over it. And that's what you're going to want. Again, you'll see that there is no code that is showing up in here, and that is because it is assuming that you are accessing this internally. So again, if a kid would try to access this at home, it would not work. So the last thing you'll need to add these to MackinVIA is the images. I have created a Google document that has all of the images for the databases as well as this default link that you'll see, because this will be the same link pretty much for everybody, but again, as long as your school has IP authentication set up with PowerLibrary, you won't need to worry about adding in your PowerLibrary code for the individual resources. If you are not set up with IP authentication, there is some information on the PowerLibrary page. This is also really great in case you have a lot of schools on the same campus, where you are using the same IP address and you might be having some issues that way. But the PowerLibrary support page can help you get set up with IP authentication. So last thing is, people want to know what's the benefit in breaking down the resources versus putting just the link to the PowerLibrary. And I would say that the biggest advantage is once you get into the groups feature and you're actually creating small collections of resources that are in your MackinVIA for your students to access, that's when it will really help. So I've created some demo groups in here. So let's say I'm going to go to Science and Health. So in addition to adding all of my books that are have to do with science, I can also add any videos that have to do with science, any links that I have with science. I can put these two databases because they deal with science, where I don't have to put, I don't have to put any of the resources. I don't have to put Bookflix in here. And I also don't have to link just to the PowerLibrary, where then they would have to go in and figure it out. You know, they might not know that SIRS Discover has a lot of information on science. But by me putting it in our science collection, we'll let them know that this is a good resource for them to use. The other thing that you can do is you can add Science Reference Center in multiple places. You can add SIRS Discover in multiple places. So if you have a group on science or a group on health, you could add this in both of those. I have a a group called Biographies, and SIRS Discover has a wonderful Biographies page. And I could put that in. On that note, I can actually do a couple of different things. I can direct them straight to the landing page of SIRS Discover, or I can go a little bit deeper. I can actually open up SIRS Discover. I can go to their People option, and I can actually copy this URL if I wanted to, and put that in my MackinVIA so that my kids are directed straight to this page rather than having to go through the multiple options. I can do that for any of these. I can do that within special collections as well. I could even do an advanced search here if I wanted to, save that URL, and you would go through the same process. You would just want to make sure that you name it something different than just SIRS Discover. So you would go back into your MackinVIA admin, you would go to Resources, and add new resource. You would name this something like, I'm going to change this to, I'm actually going to put this in as a link. I am going to go to SIRS Discover Biographies. This is actually, I guess this is a ProQuest database. I'm going to put in that URL. Oh, that's the wrong URL. I'm going to put in that URL. I'm going to save this. I can choose to either add the same image, or if you want, you can create a new image. Let's see if I have my SIRS Discover. I'll just add this icon, upload that, and then I am going to activate that. I can add that to my Biographies group. I can actually do that right in here by clicking on the classification, clicking on Groups, and choosing which group I want to add it in. So I'm going to put it in Biographies. I'm going to exit out of my student side again, and I'm going to re-push this back out. And if I go into my groups and then my biographies, you'll see I have all of my books that are biographies, and then I also have this link. Now again, since I am remote and I hit open now, it's most likely not going to work for me. We can try it. Okay, so it totally didn't work the first time, but then I went in and logged in with my public library so that I could at least show you what would happen, but it will then authenticate you to this page. And again, that is something that you can do with all of your databases as long as we have them integrated into MackinVIA. You don't just have to direct the students to the home page, you can direct them to specific features within the databases. You would just add those in separately. So keep that in mind. It's a really great option to have, especially if you're working with your younger learners where they might not have the advanced searching skills to find the resources that you want. Alright guys, so as always, if you have any questions about what I've shown you today, or just need a little bit more guidance on getting the specific links and resources that you want organized in MackinVIA, just reach out to me and we can either set up a video conference where we can share screens, or I can just come out and we can work on it together. Talk to you soon. Bye.